This is Rogers TV. The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
This is April 16th, 2020, and this is your COVID-19 local update. I'm Deborah Hutchison in the Rogers TV studio. Today we are joined by two guests via video. Later in the show, we'll be talking to Oshawa MPP Jennifer French. But first up, we are joined by Uxbridge Mayor Dave Barton. Welcome, Mayor. How are you? You know what? We're doing really well up here in Uxbridge. Doing well. The numbers that come out every day from the Durham Health Department show currently, as of April 16th, 10 cases of confirmed COVID-19 in Uxbridge, significantly less in the northern communities than in southern Durham. Do you think that gives your community a false sense of security?
I wouldn't say a false sense of security, but we're certainly taking it really seriously up here. I know the numbers are going to come out today. We're going to have at least one additional case, and we're living the same things that they're living, in the south and up in Bobcaygeon. We're seeing some cases in our long-term care facilities, and we're extremely concerned, and we're very vigilant up here.
You've also mentioned that people are taking the physical distancing, from what you're seeing, very seriously. Other communities, there have been complaints, still about gatherings, people, not respecting that 6 feet distance. You're finding it different up there in Uxbridge, yes?
So certainly there are outliers, and there's some people that are taking it seriously, but the vast majority of people that I'm seeing in my community are taking this very seriously, whether they're going for walks on our sidewalks or on our streets, or in our grocery stores. We're all in this together, and I believe that my residents are extremely aware and are concerned about the impact that this is having, certainly from a local business perspective, and then from a health perspective for all of us. And we've been doing a hashtag for quite a while, do this for grandma. And
I love that.
Yeah, it's certainly, we know this is hitting our senior population, and we need to make sure that everything that we do, as younger people and our kids and everything, that we're not doing it in vain. We need to make sure that we're taking those precautions so that we're not sharing this with the seniors in our community.
You also have mentioned that the community has really rallied around the needs in your community in responding to PPEs and the need for the shields or the masks. Let's talk a bit about that as well.
Okay, so let's start with the masks. Like other communities, we have anyone who sews, and even those that don't, they're making masks. So I think my mother has made 120 masks to be used by healthcare workers and for others. We have a couple local companies. One is Agile Manufacturing, and the other is Coal Pits Design. So Agile I'm just trying to remember the technology when you're printing plastic. Anyway, they're doing a lot of that. Coal Pits have actually built a plastic injection mold where they can make about 2,000 of these a day, which is unbelievable. So they're providing these to our healthcare workers. They had me drop them off at our long-term care facilities to make sure that we have the PPE that we need. And then another really fun project, I reached out to Slabtown Cider, if you see that,
nice.
To Slabtown Cider fairly early. And they went out and bought a still. They're using their leftover apples from their apple cider and making hand sanitizer. And it's awesome. It feels so good. It smells like apples.
That's the hand sanitizer I want to be using.
No, it's fantastic. So you can get it at Slabtown and make sure. The other thing, I think we're all dealing with this a little bit better when we're having 1 or 2 drinks a day. So their cider is awesome. So if you get a chance to come up.
Of course, local businesses have been hit hard everywhere. And this is the new reality, is it's forcing businesses to rethink how they do business Uxbridge not immune, correct?
Oh, for sure. I know my deputy mayor, Willie Pop, is in constant contact with our local businesses, even more than I am. But it's a big concern. You think of someone with a clothing store that's bought their entire spring line, and just when they should be selling it, they're forced to close their doors. We have restaurants that are used to a certain amount of traffic, and now pivoting to a delivery model is really, really difficult. And then, but what's really interesting is all those same people, our local Canadian Tire, Pat Higgins, even while his business is suffering, he's stepping up and helping the community. He's, letting me know that he's got, this many buckets of hand sanitizer, who needs it. People are making donations to our food bank. People are supporting our healthcare workers. And I'm just, when we're all taxed is when people really can step up. And I'm seeing that more and more in Uxbridge. Greatest community ever.
Yeah, you're also saying that the local hospital, we were talking about 10 or now 11 cases of COVID-19 in Uxbridge. The local hospital is still preparing for the worst case scenario, correct?
We are. So it's been about a month, and we had our two of our local family physicians, Dr. Jennifer Wilson and Dr. Carly Jensen, were concerned with what they were seeing in China and in Italy. And again, this is a month ago, and built a team of people, and it's doctors, nurses, business people, respiratory therapists, all work together on what we would do in Uxbridge if we ended up with 100 more cases, and how we would keep those people off the streets. And it's been incredible to watch this process. I've been a part of that team, and we looked at a bunch of different facilities and a bunch of different options, and we've decided on the arena. We don't think we're going to need it, but if we do, we have a plan in place. We have beds secured. We have contractors that can move in and quickly make this happen. And even Bell Canada, we let them know that we had no cell service and no Wi-Fi in our arena, and within a week and a half, we had a microcell site installed and operational. And that's because Bell wanted to step up and make sure that these types of things were looked after. So to go from no cell service in an arena to a cell site installed and operating in just over a week is unbelievable. And I'm seeing that type of response across our community. And again, to that team of people that have organized this hospital, the whole time hoping that once we're done the plan, we can shelve it and never use it. Again, just continues to amaze me, and just the way everybody's stepping up, including my own staff.
Your own staff, your own wife is a doctor. She works at a hospital in another community, and she works with COVID-19 patients. How has that affected, your life at home and her life?
So we've isolated for a long time. I've been to the office once in the last month. We're in constant video. We're doing video conferences all the time. But I feel that there's a pretty good chance I'm going to end up with this virus just because of what my wife does for a living, and we're isolating from the community because of that. So I'm not going to the office. We're ready in case we have to go in, but almost everything's remote. We've been doing. I think we've had 4 local council meetings using Microsoft Teams. We hired our CAO in December, and she came from the IT world. So she was already moving us towards a fully online business model, and we moved very quickly. So almost everybody has laptops. We're using them. We don't have any in-person meetings, and we haven't now for 30 days at least. So we've done all the right things, and I'm so impressed with our team. Even those people that are completely non-technical, to be doing, video conferences every morning as we look at our emergency management. Great. My team's awesome.
How do you go through your day, though, knowing that, as you said, eventually you honestly believe that at one point you're going to come down with this?
Well, you know what? You do what you need to do. You get the right exercise. You eat the right foods, mostly. We had some Ben and Jerry's problems in our house. But again, we're taking it really seriously. But we we are treating ourselves as if we have the virus. It's just how we're living our lives here, and not, I haven't seen my parents for a couple months. We like, the majority of families had used Zoom to have our Easter celebrations. Mm-hmm. It's the world changed so much in the last 30 days, and you can embrace it or you can fight it, and we've embraced it.
So with your wife on the front line, I'm sure you've had many conversations about the condition in our hospitals. From those conversations, what message do you have for people out there?
So what I'm hearing from her and her colleagues is make sure the things that we can do to support them, the biggest thing is to protect them. And the way to protect them is make sure that they're not doing procedures that are putting them at risk. And two times that healthcare workers are in big risk. One is when you're putting in a ventilator, and the other is when you're performing CPR. So if you have a loved one who, if they get this virus, are not going to get out of it, if they're elderly or they're already sick, make sure that you've got advanced care directives in place so that you're not putting our healthcare workers' lives at risk in vain. So talk to your parents, talk to your grandparents, and make sure that you know their wishes before they end up in an ER, because I'm sure most of them would not want to know that because of the steps that the healthcare workers took, that they infected, a team of doctors and nurses with families. It's a pretty morbid conversation, but it's one that's necessary, and we need to be having those.
Okay, we've only got a couple of minutes. I want to get to a couple of other things. It may not be business as usual, but business continues. The wheels of business continue to turn at Town Hall. The Brock Street culvert, COVID-19 is not going to stop that construction there, is it?
So no, we are still operating. We've actually got a huge amount of work done in the last 30 days. We've got our parallel culvert is in north of Brock Street. They're backfilling the culvert right now, and we're trying to get Brock Street closed as quickly as we can to make sure that we've closed the road while our local businesses are closed anyway. So we are pushing as fast as we can through that process.
Almost makes it a little easier then for that project to continue.
Yeah, if there is any silver lining when it comes to COVID-19, it's that while our downtown would be mostly closed anyway, we can get some of these construction projects done. And I'm seeing that happen on regional projects as well. We're trying to get as many of these paving projects done when there's very limited traffic.
Okay, just another minute left. Quickly, with closures to the trails are closed, correct?
They're not. So Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority have closed all their trail systems. So that's Durham Forest is the big one.
Yes.
Toronto Regional Conservation Authority have closed their parking lots, but the trails are use at your own risk. And in Uxbridge, our trails are open, but for all the people from outside of Uxbridge, please don't come. The reason our trails are open is so our locals can get out and walk and get outside and enjoy nature. Mm-hmm. We will close them really quickly if we get traffic coming from the south or from anywhere.
Okay.
We're only keeping them open because people can physically distance from
residents. Okay, Mayor Barton, we are out of time. I'm going to have to stop you there. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe. We wish you all the best. And to those of you watching us, stay with us after the break. MPP Jennifer French.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
It's a crazy real estate world out there. The battle of the bids, the housing bubble, the all too popular impending crash, yeah, whatever. If you want the real deal when it comes to the market here in the Durham region, I've made it so all your questions are answered, ensuring your next move is your best move. So join me. Get your house sold with Sean Lackey.
and welcome back to your COVID-19 local update. I'm Deborah Hutchison in the Rogers TV studio. Joining us now via video is Oshawa MPP Jennifer French. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing throughout all of this?
I think I'm doing what most of us are doing, which is managing. I'm very grateful to have a role in all of this. My staff and I are pretty darn busy, staying connected with folks who are in lots of different struggles and circumstances throughout all of this. So I can't complain. I am set up in my basement apartment. Not right now. I've actually come up to the main floor. But I'm working from home, of course, to do our best to stop the spread. And I sit beside my sliding patio door and I watch my neighbor's kids do gymnastics and dance and prance for me. So I'm still feeling a bit connected to the broader world. So
now, so the day we're taping this, April 16th, 2020, yesterday, you sent a letter to Premier Ford calling on him to push GM to produce PPEs at the Oshawa plant. Let's talk about that letter and why you took the step to contact the Premier about this.
Okay, well, I mean, certainly everyone who drives by the almost empty facility in Oshawa wonders what it could be used for, especially right now as we are hearing about different corporate partners and different businesses coming up with innovative ways to help out during this crisis. Certainly, we've been getting emails from workers or just from neighbors who were suggesting the same thing, that space be utilized in this battle against COVID-19. And we have a community group, Green Jobs Oshawa, different groups who have been pushing. I don't think it's anything that isn't kind of an instinctive ask. We have a ready and raring to go workforce who want to help in this fight and to keep our frontline safe, our first responders and frontline healthcare workers, and doing anything that they can. I mean, it is such a dire need for masks and for personal protective equipment. And I think that there's a real opportunity there that, as we've seen in Warren, Michigan, General Motors, it took them just a week to go from the idea, putting it together and creating samples, and now their capacity looks to be 1.5 million masks produced in a month, and they could replicate that here. They recalled workers, they retooled the facility. We've seen in Kokomo, Indiana, General Motors is working with Ventec Life Systems to create ventilators. I wonder if that's an option here. And I know that General Motors has been partnering with OPG and Ontario Tech with face shields, but imagine the potential at the plant and facility here. And so I asked the Premier if he would push General Motors and help them be part of what could be a really big help in this fight to keep Canadians safer.
Have you heard any response yet? And I guess realistically, I mean, he can push all he wants, but it's up to GM, is it not?
Yeah, I guess so. And General Motors has responded. There are a couple articles that I've seen that used pieces of my letter and had some remarks from General Motors. I'm not going to quote them, but the gist was that they are interested in being partners in the fight, and that they are working on different projects and are looking for new opportunities. So I don't know what that could look like. I have heard before that General Motors Canada was wanting to use this plant for kind of a gathering place of supplies as a distribution center. Mm-hmm. I make no comment about what's happening there now. I don't know, but I know that the potential is really important to push for. I mean, there's a lot at stake, and now is the time. Yesterday was the time. Last week was the time, but
a month ago was the time.
Yeah, and there is an urgency. We know that, but when we see what happened in Warren, Michigan, where General Motors, put it together in under a week. The learning is done. I would love to. I'd love to see that replicated here. And if that's not a possibility, then I'd like to hear why not.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to, I guess, long-term care and the situation in long-term care facilities across Ontario. It becomes more dire every day with more deaths. There have been deaths at Hillsdale. They're certainly not the only one. You yourself have a grandmother in a retirement community locally. First off, how is Grandma doing?
Grandma's doing very well. Grandma just turned 99, and I think she's finding things a little bit boring and lonely, but as of today, everyone is healthy in that particular retirement residence, so that is a relief. And I don't think I know that is a really it's a major concern for everyone across the community. Their loved ones who are on the other side of the wall, so to speak, in long-term care and retirement homes. So, certainly our hearts go out to those who are anxious, to those who have loved ones who are sick, and certainly our condolences to those who have passed, have loved ones who have passed. It is tragic, and certainly there is a need. And there has been the need leading up to this to stop the spread and do everything that we can to keep our seniors safe.
What has to change in long-term care to make it safer for both residents and for staff?
Great question. Certainly, we have been calling for more staff to be able to, pay them properly, to retain them, to attract them. But also, we as opposition have been suggesting for quite some time that we stop the flow of personal support workers and staff from home to home. Many of them are cobbling together full-time employment, working at different homes. And so right now, as we see, the spread of a virus, we know that we need to stop the spread of people, frankly. So we're glad to see that the government has stepped up on that front to say that personal support workers and those working in long-term care facilities that they have to choose one facility to work at, and that there won't be traveling back and forth. The problem still remains that there's a loophole with those employed through temporary agencies. They supply a lot of the labor, a lot of the staffing. So we need to tighten that up. But still, we are calling for fair wages to attract and to retain. That has been a real challenge. There are a lot of pieces that have to fit together when it comes to our seniors' care. We certainly are listening to public health and echoing their recommendations. And then as we come out the other side of this eventually, we really do all need to have the conversation around how we care for our seniors and what our long-term care system looks like. There was a lot of conversation yesterday and in recent days about the lack of proactive inspections, that inspections in long-term care homes are reactive, almost entirely based on when there's a complaint. Mm-hmm. And I think that is something we have to recognize we shouldn't accept. A lot of boomers are recognizing that our system won't sustain them. And right now we're seeing that it's a danger because of, we've gotten to this point through chronic underfunding and understaffing, and everyone has been kind of sounding the alarm for years. So here we find ourselves, but if we do our best at this point, there is a lot that can change, and it needs to change quickly to ensure that everybody's loved ones are kept safe.
If there is a silver lining to this, you and I have spoken previously about just the community support and the community reaction and how the Oshawa community is rallying against those in need over COVID-19.
Yeah. Oh, it's been I mean, this is a heart-wrenching situation. No matter how you look at it, whether you're considering the business side, small and medium-sized businesses, if you're looking at renters and homeowners, if you're looking at those who are homeless and precariously housed, this is gut-wrenching. But you don't have to look very far to see heartwarming caring that is happening. You know, the Caremongers group, or if you look at the Backdoor Mission downtown Oshawa, it has been remarkable to see them fill the gaps and do their best to meet the ever evolving and ever growing need downtown. You know, as soon as the pandemic sort of started up, we had places that shut down in the immediate wake of that, and the Backdoor Mission, as an example, really rose to the occasion and continues to, and is building, as we're seeing with other organizations, building quite a network of partnerships to support people in the best way that is possible and that we can imagine. And I'm so impressed with all of our community organizations. I always have been, but it is unbelievable. It is just remarkable to see the amount of caring. And I mean, everyone is giving 150% and is driven, I'd say, by adrenaline right now, but also by the need to care for those who really are in bad circumstances right now.
As well as the support that we've seen for the healthcare workers as well, with the convoys rolling past the hospital and shouting thanks and honking their horns. Well,
and at 7:30 every night, everyone should be out with pots and pans and banging and hooting and hollering, and expressing their appreciation. That is something for our healthcare workers locally and across the province, that people can go out and make some noise and share their appreciation for healthcare workers. We are so grateful for them and for all of our frontline workers.
We just have under a minute left, but I just want to, leave the last word to you for a final thought to the people of Oshawa out there.
I miss them. Oshawa is a strong community. We will come out the other side of this somehow and find our way back together. And right now, I hope that people are able to take some comfort from each other, pick up the phone and call some loved ones, reach out. And certainly I would ask everyone to connect with our office online or by phone with their concerns, their questions, or their ideas. We're working full tilt, sharing those ideas with the government and doing our best to help to put these pieces together.
Thanks so much to Oshawa MPP Jennifer French for joining us, and thanks to Uxbridge Mayor Dave Barton, who joined us earlier, and thanks to all of you. Once again, stay home and stay safe.